Ever since we've moved here, we just simply haven't had enough storage space. We've known it for years. We've tried several different things to just get by, and none of them have done the job. As you can see, we still have a bunch of stuff sitting out here in the rust. Well, we're finally going to build something. I'll tell you all about it. Let's get started. Six years ago, when we moved here, we thought this space was huge, and it wasn't fully complete like this, right? We've improved it a lot over the years. When we first got here, it was mouse infested, it was in bad shape, it was cold, it was dark. It just wasn't a very good facility. In fact, some people suggested that we just tear it down and start over, and honestly, we might have been better off by doing so. But we haven't spent a lot of money on it, and we've got a really nice shop area here, just not big enough for all the stuff that we try to accomplish these days. Part of the floor wasn't even concrete when we started here, and we got that finished, so now we have concrete across the whole thing. The improved lighting is a dramatic help. Of course, the heat and air conditioning makes it much more pleasant to work in here. Pallet racking along the sides, we've done everything we can for storage in that sense. I'm not perfectly organized in here, of course, but we've just got a lot of stuff. As you can see, we've got these scaffolds and all. We've tried to focus on keeping things on casters, on wheels, so they can be easily moved. So they look like they're all stacked up in a pile here. Well, that's because I was able to get to this side over here by just rolling them and moving them. But even with several attempts at optimizing all of this, it's just been difficult for us to find places to store all the equipment that we want to show and to maintain on an ongoing basis. Now, we've thought about trying to get rid of some of this equipment, and we have maybe slimmed down a little bit in a few areas. What we're finding, though, is that there's good value in repeatedly demonstrating some of this equipment. You see on other channels oftentimes a new piece of equipment demonstrated once, maybe twice, not used in a big variety of situations, and not used when it gets a little bit older and gets a little bit more worn, or in this case rusted. So we see a lot of value in being able to have this equipment around to show on different tractors, to show in different applications. The TS10, for example, you've seen it on a lot of different tractors and a lot of different mowing conditions. We just see value in that. So we're not prepared to get rid of a lot of this equipment, even though we've shown it a time or two. We just have to find a way to take better care of it. One of the often quoted phrases about building sheds, storage, etc. is, "You'll pay for it whether you get it or not." If you haven't heard that, the explanation is simple. You let this stuff sit outside, you're going to pay for the storage. If you get the storage, at least you can keep the equipment nice. Yes, you had to actually pay for the storage unit itself, but you don't have to pay for it by the equipment rotting away. We've known that, and we just haven't been able to afford it, right? Or haven't been able to have the time. We also weren't sure how long our YouTube business was going to last and whether it would grow to be what it has become today. And so it was hard decisions to make for us for a long time. To that end, we bought this Shelter Logic. It's been great for us. We said at the time it was going to be a 3 to 5 year investment to be able to kind of store stuff while we figured out what we were going to be when we grew up. I want to do a full review on that when we take it down. Yes, we will be taking it down in a few months, but let me just kind of summarize for now and say that it's been fine. I just wish we would have bought it twice the size, right? I mean, we've needed a lot more storage than what we had. We just had no idea then. So I'm standing in our new shop storage facility right now, me and the oak tree. The only tree on our entire property that I truly love and really would like to keep, that's right, that's the one I'm going to have to get rid of, and I'll explain why. We have 10 acres here that we're very thankful for, very happy with this property, but the characteristics of it are that it's very narrow as compared to how long it is, right? The woods back there is all part of it. We're standing roughly halfway between front and back on the property line right now. And we don't really want to build anything further forward than the house. So that kind of rules out that half of the property. When we think about the property to my right or the east on the property, there's really no way to get around there. It's just not easy to get around that way. Building on that side of the house was not going to be desirable at all. We could have potentially torn down the original shop that you can see back there. Number one, it's losing a lot of square footage, and that's kind of wasteful, we feel. But the second thing is that we need that storage while we build the new shop. We have a lot of things that we have to keep warm. They would freeze if they were left outside, and so yeah, we have to have some warm storage, and we just don't have enough space other than that storage facility. Also, we think we're going to need that space going forward at least for a while, maybe for the long term. More about that in a minute. So that leaves this strip right here between the house and this side of the property line. There's 125 feet roughly between the house and the property line itself. There's a 15-foot easement off of the side here where a water drainage line runs. We cannot build in that 15 feet, but we can drive in that area. So our proposal was that we build a building right beside the house here, in fact 5 feet from the house, and then build it as far as we had to toward the property line and put our drive right next to the line. Okay, that's the plan of attack here. These two flags roughly represent that 5-foot border that we were going to put between the house and the new building. We had chosen that because we assumed that there would be all kinds of zoning issues if we tried to actually connect it to the house. Well, what we found when we went to the county planner was just the opposite. In fact, when they first saw our plan, they said, well, you're going to have a variance because your building is too large for your property. You're going to have another variance because your building is too tall for your property. And maybe even a third variance because it extends a little bit too far forward of your house. So we said, well, what's a variance mean? What do we have to do? We were going to have to send letters to everyone in the community, certified letters. We were going to have to put advertisements in the newspaper. We were going to have a public hearing. Basically, it just kept looking worse and worse and worse. Now, some other neighbors have told me that you can go through that variance process. Everything will be okay and all. But then we laid out our plan and showed them what we were actually going to build. And when they saw the 5-foot separation here, they said, well, why don't you just connect it to your house? Again, I mentioned that I thought this would be difficult and that would cause all kinds of zoning issues, insurance issues, taxation issues, a lot of items like that. And they said, oh no, it's no big deal. In fact, then it just simply becomes a home addition. That's right, it's just a simple 6,276 square feet home addition. I don't know. They said that would be no variances. We could just do that with a simple permit, 7 to 10 days advance. No issues whatsoever. Wouldn't have to worry about the existing home as far as bringing it up to latest codes or re-inspecting that. It's all supposed to be easy with this approach. Well, there's a secret here. We really wanted it connected anyway. This part right here is intended to be our new office so that we can get it out of our living room. Now, of course, our plans may change. Nothing is firmed up at this point, although we have selected a builder, we have got firm quotes and everything. So we're fairly far along on this, but we still have some things up in the air. Let me just kind of explain what we've got right now. This is 35.5 feet from side to side on the house here. We intend to make the connector, we're calling it, the office connector, 30 feet wide, and it will go out here for 30 feet. We're thinking a 6-1 pitch on this. Okay, so it's the steepest we can make it for the rest of the shop that's going to be out here. Take note of my septic tank that's right under the conference room table at this point. And that's not permitted, so we've got to work on that. In fact, that's going to be one of our first projects. Let's just take a moment to talk about that. My understanding of the rules on the septic tank is that it has to be 10 foot away from the building. So we're not going to move our finger system, which is back here. We're going to take the septic tank and move it right over here. And when I say move it, this one's concrete. We're going to crush it. We're going to fill it in with sand, and we're going to put a new tank right over here. I'm getting through the permitting on that right now. I don't think there's going to be any issue. We've had great relationship with the county on any building type stuff that we've done. All of their rules are reasonable, right? That's really all we ask for, and that way we know that we're doing it the right way, and I have no issue with that. So this 30-foot width will extend for 30 feet right towards you at the camera. So it's going to kind of be a square area, and then it's going to connect to the main part of the building. The main part of the building then is going to start somewhere in here. These flags are not accurate, that's from a previous plan. But somewhere in here, extend 96 feet that direction, 56 feet to the west toward the property line. So of the 125 feet between the corner of the house and the property line, 86 of it will be covered by building. 30 plus 56. That should leave us 39 feet over there for a driveway. The corner of the building will be somewhere here, and then the drive will extend around there. Now we can take out some of these trees if we choose to do so. There won't be as much need for the windbreak there, right? Because the building will be on that side anyway. The building will serve as a lot of the windbreak over here. We may want to put some more trees along here a little bit, but these larger ones we can remove, or we don't have to right now, depending on what that 39 feet actually looks like. But that's going to be the primary driveway back to the other shop. And then we intend to concrete between those two buildings, and that's going to be kind of our work area, or as my dad would call it, the barn lot. Christy's real excited to get rid of this equipment that's in front of the building here. So overall, from the community standpoint, hopefully we will have everything under roof, and when you look from the front at least, you won't see a bunch of rusting down equipment sitting outside. The main part of the building, with which I would be standing in right now, is going to have a ceiling height of 18 feet. Now, many of you would probably be saying, why do you need 18-foot ceilings? You have nothing that tall, and that's true. We don't have anything that tall, but what I've learned is that when I want to use pallet racking to store items, I can't really get 3 shelves that are big enough to hold attachments in the 10 to 11 feet that I have in this shop, and I just feel like I need a lot more to make that work. And the second reason is if I'd have to put in a mezzanine, or want to put in a mezzanine, meaning a second floor area, I don't want to have to duck in the upstairs portion, right? So with this approach, 18 foot, we should be able to have 2 8-foot ceilings for a mezzanine area or some sort of second floor part storage, items like that. We're taking a little bit different approach on this with respect to how we're introducing it to you, our viewers. A lot of times when we introduce something that we're working on, we've already made a lot of the decisions, and we're just kind of relaying that information to you. Well, here we are several months out from this actual building. We wanted to introduce it to you early like this for a couple of reasons. The first is we're going to be doing some preliminary work, right? We've got an oak tree to take out, sadly, and we have a septic tank to move, among other things that are going to be happening over the next several months. And you kind of need to understand why those things are occurring. The other reason is that we'd like to have some input. I mean, we've been feverishly watching shop tours, shop ideas on video, and while we have the outside structure size in mind, there are a lot of things that we don't really know how we're going to handle. You can see in this interior view that we're showing you here, there's some things that we've kind of thought through. We've got this interior wash bay on the side here. I really want a winterized wash bay. It's been embarrassing to me that I have dirty equipment, and a lot of times that's in the wintertime. I just haven't been able to wash equipment. We intend to get a hot water power washer and get all that enclosed in that area there. And we'll probably take this lift over to that shop eventually. It may not happen immediately. Actually, all of the shop concept may move from here to there eventually. But what do we want? What kind of storage do we want? Do we want to do anything specific in the concrete? We know of a few things. We know we want some drains for water, not only in the wash bay, but under the garage section of the new building. But what else do we want? If you've got ideas, please let us know. We're accepting ideas now. We're we're sponges right now for how we can do things better and how we can do things in a way that we can illustrate ideas to you, our viewers. So if any of you have some specific ideas, we might even be willing to come visit a shop that you guys have if it's got some interesting, innovative ideas that you think might be useful for our viewers. I've got a page on our website, okay? TractorTimeWithTim.com/shop ideas. Go to that site, the link is right here, and submit your ideas for us. Hopefully you can upload photos there, and we will take a look at those one by one, and we really would appreciate it. Anything you can do to help us make a more efficient and more useful shop. Now I'm anticipating a couple of comments saying, you guys just must have more money than you know what to do with, and those typical type of comments. Well, okay, I get it, but we've put this off for 5 years. We kept thinking we could do without this shop, and we're just realizing that that's really not possible. So from a financial standpoint, it's been nothing but a mistake. We could have done this for half the price 4 years ago, even if it meant borrowing some money. It's much, much more expensive now to do this build than what it was 4 or 5 years ago when we probably should have actually done such a build. But we didn't have the money then, and we just weren't sure what the future would hold. You're never sure what the future would hold, but borrowing a lot of money for something like a building just didn't seem like the right approach for us at the time. So we've tried to save and tried to save. You know, we're just in a better position now, even though the costs are much more expensive. Let's talk just a little bit about the costs. We wanted to go with one of the big name builders. In fact, we talked a lot with Morton Buildings, impressed with their product, impressed with their layout tools, all the stuff they could do to show us what they were going to be building for us, impressed with the sales guy. Just a quality organization overall. But I just want to let you know that for a little bit less than what we were proposing building here, not quite as dressed up as what we're looking at now, at this size, was almost $600,000 with Morton. That was obviously a non-starter for us, okay? We also shopped with a more local builder here in Indiana. When I say local, it's a regional builder. Again, very high quality, very good tools, impressive personnel, very impressed with it. But again, that was going to be a lot of money. Not as much as the Morton, but still a lot of money. So we're actually going to have ours built by an Amish builder. And quite frankly, we just hope it's, quote, good enough. Right? I mean, this is going to be the best that we can afford, and we just feel like it's, you know, the best way for us to go forward for our family. We still don't know where our YouTube channel is going to go in the future. We've had a wonderful, wonderful experience over the years on YouTube. We just never know about the future, right? And we're thankful for you guys sticking with us and coming along for the ride to see all the changes since we were on 4/10 of an acre in Carmel. It's been an amazing ride, and it's all because of you. But what we've realized is that even if we never shot another YouTube video, we need this extra space, and that as I get older, I'm still going to enjoy this extra space. Christy's going to enjoy it, especially being connected to the house. We'll be able to heat it, cool it. It's just going to be a lifestyle improvement for us. Just something we've looked forward to for a long time. My biggest space concern is this area right here between the two buildings. Not exactly sure how much that's going to be yet. I need to do some more detailed measuring, and I'm not exactly sure how much I need. But this is the area we're going to concrete right in here, and so it will be nice to have it as a barn lot, but this is also the only big wide door that we're going to have into the new building. So it's going to be a turn to get in there. And I hope that's enough. I really do hope that's enough. These decisions are very, very difficult, more difficult than I would like to admit. Now we will be doing some change up in our equipment. I'm leaning towards selling the 5075E, And the Kubota LX3310, I'm pretty sure I'm going to sell that machine. If you're interested in either of those, you can let us know in the comments. We'll give you plenty of warning over time on that. Of course, if you're interested right now, you should let us know. I have been searching for a 55 to 60 horsepower tractor. Our 12-foot Woods Turf Batwing is just a little bit too large for what we have in the 3 Series and the TS10. It would be nice to have a little bit larger tractor for it in some situations. We'll have a lot more information on that going forward. Oh, and of course, we've got our dock build that we have to complete. I'm just trying to give you a little preview of what's coming in the long term, right? We will be building this probably in March, February, March, April of 2025. Be interesting to see when we look back on this video how much of these plans change between now and then. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim. So then, just as you received Christ Jesus as Lord, continue to live your lives in Him, rooted and built up in Him, strengthened in the faith as you were taught, and overflowing with thankfulness. What do you think, Bullseye? You like that plan? Sorry, just had to have a little scratching time, didn't we?